It would be an understatement to say that Atlantic City is not what it used to be. Let's get the demographics out of the way right away. And I realize this is a tourist town, so the population given to us for this city may be a bit skewed as far as the architecture that we're going to be seeing. But you can see, not a very large city at all. And in our modern day, the types of views we get of Atlantic City are, I would say, are quite an eyesore. Something that turns you off of wanting to go there as far as I'm concerned. But as I was digging into this city, I found plenty of beautiful architecture for us to feast our eyes on. So without further ado, let's check out Atlantic City. And as you can see here, Atlantic City is an island. In the modern day, we've got all sorts of bridges. But it wasn't until 1854, we are told, that a rail line is constructed to get to this piece of land. And it's being developed as a resort town in those very early days, we are told. And you're going to see a plethora of hotels in this presentation. And the early backstory tells us that Dr. Jonathan Pitney promoted this place as a healing or as a health resort, and he pushed for that railroad to come through. And Atlantic City, famous for the Boardwalk, first getting built in 1870, we are being told. And here's an early look at the rail car, and then of course you can see the architecture surrounding it as well. Of course, the narrative here is also that the rail cars were introduced and pulled by mules until the electricity was run to the island. So keep in mind that population, again, 50,000, 60,000 at its peak. Less than 30,000 at the turn of the 20th century. And we're going to be rolling through. It's quite a large file. We're going to see a lot, like I said, a lot of hotels. And you can see here, even in this hotel, you can see basements, a large part of the infrastructure here. We have theaters, a lot of entertainment as well, you're going to see as we move forward. And a lot of these were actually difficult to find. And that's why you're going to be seeing a lot in postcard form. With so many of these demolished now, we'll get into this one, the Marlborough Blenheim. And we'll just pepper in a little bit more modern day. Oh man, that is absolutely hideous. Let's get back to the old world, shall we? This would be the Warner Theatre. We have the Stanley Theatre, and you can see the ornate decorations and the age on these structures. You also get this fully clothed swimming narrative from that early time period. And Atlantic City has been popularized in modern pop culture through TV programs like Boardwalk Empire that depict the Prohibition era and how Atlantic City was a haven for running alcohol during the Prohibition days. Really no shortage of spectacular architecture. And like I said, many of these lost to history now. We do have some very high quality photographs of that time period as well. Certainly worth looking a little closer at. You can see the rail car is still in use here, the horse and buggy. And the architecture again itself not looking new and looking spectacular. Alright, let's zoom in on the Traymore Hotel. And we are told the first Traymore is built in 1884 and was a rather flimsy hotel that was destroyed in a winter storm. But it was quickly rebuilt and enlarged, thankfully. And when it was rebuilt, they added indoor plumbing and all the rest of the modern type amenities. And we are also told that because of stiff competition from the Marlborough Blenheim, this apparently was the second Traymore. And here we have a suspicious looking postcard of just a portion of the structure. But this thing apparently is built miraculously, is torn down and rebuilt in the autumn and summer, or autumn and winter season of 1914-1915, and they managed to open it for the 1915 tourist season, we are told. Massive structure. And apparently the Traymore had 4 faucets for every bathtub, hot and cold city water, hot and cold ocean water, and there was a 5th faucet in the sink for ice water. A marvel of plumbing, really. Used by the military in the 40s, and eventually it starts to fall by the wayside as we get into the post-World War II era. Here's a good look at some of the construction, the quality of construction that was thrown up that winter. Does that make any sense at all, the timeline? Of course not. And unfortunately, the Traymore Hotel meets its demise in the 70s, 1972 to be exact, and this structure can be found in one of my books on demolished buildings here in North America. But we'll move on from the Traymore. Atlantic City also famous for its piers. Very ornate structures located atop of piers on the ocean. And you can see as it goes all the way out, and amazing structures, really. Multiple massive structures. And you can see this from the 70s, I believe this one is, and still having a lot of this beautiful architecture. You can imagine how spectacular it would have been to go to Atlantic City at this time. Another horse and buggy view for you. This is looking very old as well. Looking like it's been there for some time. The boardwalk all looking new. It's almost like they had to rebuild a lot of this to make a lot of these accessible again. And we'll get into some very obscure hotels. This the Berkshire Inn with its turrets. So this one began in 1895, we're told, and it gets the wrecking ball in 1996. Spectacular structure. You can tell things have changed over time. Very murky waters with these postcards as well. You'll get a tower in one, and you'll get no tower in the other in this photograph. So things change over time. Mysteries being hidden, I would suspect. And then there's just a taste of some of the interior of this spectacular hotel, which apparently this was easy to do in the late 1800s. This is the Brighton Casino in 1900s, a very early photograph. Old looking chimney. Cape Young's Cottage, a suspicious photograph with all the statues in the yard. All looking like very high quality materials. If this was in a World's Fair, they would tell us this was temporary. But it's not. so the narrative will allow for that. A lot of boardwalk views. Of course, the popular game Monopoly, having close ties with Atlantic City. And I guess this one cost $1 million. You see this a lot. Just a square number on these old world constructions. And it's possible you may be seeing the same hotels several times, having been revamped over the years. I don't know. There just seems to be so many. And so many that were very difficult to find. But all certainly worthy of mention. So what is actually going on with our past? As it seems as time progresses, they are able to erase and distort more as we move forward. And then some of these structures end up getting buried. Sometimes you'll get a little short blurb on somebody's blog about it, or you'll get a short piece in a popular newspaper. And that's all you can really find online about these. So a lot of them have been memory holed. But certainly worthy of showcase, and that's what I'm trying to do here on this channel, is provide you with a place to see all of the architecture for a specific location in one spot. The Elks Lodge, looking very extravagant, of course. The Ellsworth. And it is a shame what happened to Atlantic City in the 70s as the casinos took over and the blasting went into overdrive. It seems like a very intentional destruction of the past. And I understand people will use the argument that it's just progress and money driving this, but I think there's more to it. They had a music hall on the sea. Beautiful structure. And of course a place to be enjoyed by all. They get a Carnegie Library that apparently still stands, and you can see the age on this building and how solid and how well constructed this thing is. There seems to be a bit of an in-between stage here too, the way all of this seems to have come together. And certainly a lot of wood cladding on a lot of these, and you wonder if there was a facelift operation going on, like there was in, I suspect, in most locations. And the people at the time, of course, everybody dresses the same with the hats and the suits. Overdressed, it seems. But getting that sense of permanence here with the brick and the stone and the concrete. This is the interior of the Circus Maximus Theater. And really, like, a lot of these, again, are just a shadow, and very difficult for me to find some of these. The old city, built in 1901, we were told, and then demolished in 1969, so not even 70 years. And I suspect this could have been standing for much longer. Again, that erasure of the past. Here we have it next to, I believe, the fire station. And the old streetcars and the horse and buggies. So the infrastructure looking very well intact, much like we see across the continent. This is the Claridge Hotel. Now this is one of my favorites, the new convention hall, equipped with a pipe organ, and we're told all this was done in the late 20s. There are a few different depictions. So the modern day, they've done this to the tops of the towers here, but we do get some early looks at And now I don't know if they're going to say this was never built in such a way, but you have these, I think, looking sphinx type structures on top of these terraced pyramid type tops here, and you have them in this as well. Apparently this was the largest convention hall in the world, seating capacity 40,000 people, ballroom 5,000 people, absolutely massive. And there's a look at the interior, and they've played football games in here. As you can see, the Boardwalk Bowl, and you can just see all the arches all around here. And it's obviously there's something more to the story. Something doesn't add up with the historical narrative. They've got these beautiful mansard style roofs. So again, another theater. The Dennis Hotel, or Hotel Dennis. And you may have seen this already in a couple of the shots. Again, with that, we have a 3-story mansard roof here. Looking very French chateau style. And if you're looking for some discount t-shirts, this would be the place to get them. Or Hawaiian luau all you can eat for a very low price. My, how we have fallen. And there's the Dennis again next to the Marlborough Blenheim. And history telling us that the Dennis Hotel dates back to 1860, although they will say that it has been added upon several times and goes under the name of Bally's in the modern day. Still stands. A very famous steel pier, possibly the music hall back there. If you know anything about the area, as I always like to say, if you have stories, you have childhood memories of walking around, going to Atlantic City, I certainly encourage you to share those stories in the comment section. Always a welcomed addition to these videos. Of course, they have a castle, which they call the First Methodist Church, and it does still stand as well. And this one looks like it's on the way out. It's next door neighbor. And they're calling it Engine Company number 7, I believe. You can see it used to have a dome, and that is long gone now. No shortage of churches in Atlantic City. Can you believe how many hotels we're seeing here? Maybe you can. I know it is a resort town, and you know, probably has been for a lot longer than we're being told. But there seems to be a lot of hotels that no longer exist and that have been long forgotten. The Galen Hall, only in postcard form, although I did find a look at the interior. Again, look at the quality of building materials and try to imagine the logistics to get all those materials to the island, and the logistics to get all the people working on these places there. And then you start to wonder what's up with the narrative. The Grand Atlantic Hotel, very picturesque looking. We also had a Heinz pier, the Heinz company responsible for the ketchup and the beans, and Heinz, I believe it's Pittsburgh, the headquarters for Heinz. I covered that in my Pittsburgh video. Very strange. We have several high schools here. This was apparently the new one. It must have been a decent budget for that one. And you can see the entryway to that, looking like a cathedral. And this was also a high school. Again, multi-storied. You have a triple arched entrance, multi-storied, very ornately decorated. All of these things take time, take money, take skill. Hospital as well. There's a look at the hospital, I believe. Maybe we're looking at it from the back side of here. in this one, but I'm not sure. And it looks like we've got some sort of decoration here. Let's see if it still exists on the new. And it looks like that's long gone by this time. They've taken off. Maybe eagles? Really can't tell from the postcard. Look at these classic battery-looking structures. A marine trust company. A bank, no doubt. Now this may be the Marlborough House, built in 1900, we were told, and then it was so wildly successful that they expanded it to the 1905 version of the Blenheim Palace. There's the Marlborough Blenheim Palace, 1905, and this is the one that's competing directly with the Traymore that we saw earlier. And apparently in the 70s, the Bally Manufacturing, which is the largest producer of slot machines, purchases this property, and the Wrecking Ball takes it by the end of the decade, the 70s. An absolute tragedy that this no longer stands. And there you have it again, sitting next to the Dennis. Despite its size, the Masonic Temple quite prominent in Atlantic City, despite the size of the city, I should say. And this one was a little bit difficult to dig up as well, and looking like it's very run down and very aged, despite the building materials. And I suspect not long for this world as well. And we've got more hotels. Getting close to the end of the file. I kept finding hotels, so I've needed to share them here with you. There was, they just kept popping up, and with their decoration as well. It's very interesting. You can, again, just a postcard, but you can tell that there's decoration on here, and these things take a lot of time and effort, of course. This is the War Memorial. You're wondering again if this has been repurposed. Looking very old world in its structure. Okay, let's get to the post office. This one's copyright 1905. Again, very over the top. What a spectacular looking eagle. And we have a bit of a newer shot again, just to show you the quality of the building materials we were using in Atlantic City. And there it is again, with the shadowy figures on the street. I wonder if these are painted in. This is the a Presbyterian church. This is nothing really to scoff at. That's a heck of a tower. The Roxy Theater, not much evidence of it, just a grainy little photograph. The Hotel Rudolph now, apparently, we are told that the breakers that we saw earlier in the video was originally the Rudolph, and then they expanded on it, so I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. There's that Rudolph portion again. You can't really tell from postcards. We know how easy it is to cut things out and modify things, so we have to take it at face value. And a very fuzzy photograph. Rudolph. Nice looking place. The Seaside Hotel, again with its very elaborate ornamentation. The Senator, with its arched windows, multi-stories. And there is a postcard apparently from the top of the Senator looking out at the Marlborough the Traymore Hotel. You can tell I'm having trouble saying Marlborough Blenheim. Alright, the Shelburne. Another version of the Shelburne. Just some old world architecture. And they say the bus system came in and replaced all the streetcars. I believe it was the 50s, although I'm not sure on that. I was reading. And basically it just, everything got eliminated, like everywhere else, right? They changed the mode of transportation and the engine that we used, and all these things fall by the wayside. This is an odd one too. St. Michael's Church and School, but has that old world feel, so I thought I would include it. They're also showing us the Union Station, which we'll be taking a look at shortly. Before we get to that, let's talk about the Church of St. Nicholas. Built in 1905, we are told. Just 1905? Still stands. Amazing looking structure. You have to wonder if all these buildings, these hotels and these churches, and they're all getting built all in that same time period. How many workers are they housing at the time, and where are they housing all these workers to get this amazing architecture done in such short order? Especially since we know that this is going on everywhere else at the same time. St. Nicholas. And here it is next to a couple other buildings. A school, apparently, next door. Maybe that's the one we saw earlier, I'm not sure. We also have the St. Paul Methodist Episcopal, with some interesting architecture going on there. And this is the Strand. Beautiful construction. And the Strand, I guess, with a addition off the back. And of course they lit the piers up at night. And just quickly rolling here to the end of the file. What was your expectation of Atlantic City? I know we probably all knew they had some very extravagant hotels. I was quite surprised at the infrastructure of the buildings for the city itself. For instance, this is the bus terminal, and the post office and the city hall, all those things, right, for such a small city. And then of course the ridiculous amount of hotels that were in existence, that came and went, some probably quickly. This all part of the bus terminal. The Windsor and Traymore Hotel, another hotel. There's the Windsor Hotel again. We have to wonder, where did all the workers come from? Atlantic City. This has been an old world exploration. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and comment. I believe we are in the process of remembering who we really are and casting off the shackles of illusion. Until next time.